Hey, sorry about that. I ran out of memory card power. Okay, so it's at 195 degrees, and that's quite hot. So, but I didn't heat up these oils, and the castor oil was in the fridge, so this will probably cool it down quite a bit. And I may have to do this. I may have to put this down. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Ouch. Very hot. I have a silicone spatula. Just gonna add these on. Try to get as much of the oil out as possible, and I think I'm probably going to add maybe another teaspoon of olive oil just to make sure I didn't lose any of the oil. Oh yeah, and that reduced the temperature to like 145 degrees, so that's really fast. 50 degrees in no time. So I'm going to add another teaspoon of olive oil just to make up for the loss of oils because I didn't measure directly into the pot. And now I just have to wait for them both to cool down. Okay. Okay, so I have my stick blender. I'm just going to take so the lye water is 110 degrees and the oils, well, it's about 100 degrees. I'm just going to stir with the spatula at first because the last time I used the stick blender and he splashed up into my face and burnt my lip. So I'm just going to stir it in with the spatula, and then I'll switch to the stick blender after it's all in there. And I won't bore you with the sound of the stick blender going off until it gets to trace. I'll just show you what the trace looks like. I think I got it all. Sorry about that. These gloves are really big. Okay, so the oil's got a little bit of a creamy color to them now, but I'm just going to switch over to the stick blender and I'll show you what it does. And then I will wait until I get to near trace, and then I'll show you some more. Okay. That was very fast. Okay, that very quickly started to get creamy right away. Okay, I'm going to stop it now and blend some more, and then I will turn the camera back on. Okay, so it's starting to trace now. I don't know if you can see that. But see, when I lift this up and then I move little lines, you can still see the little lines. So that's a good trace, I would say. Now, I want it at a good, like, thick trace before I add the shea butter. And the reason that I didn't add the shea butter before now is because I super fatted my soap by 15%. And the main ingredient that I want left over for the moisturizing properties is the shea butter. So the saponification process has already begun when I've added the lye to the oils. And when it starts to trace, a lot of that process is already completed. So now most of the saponified oils are the olive oil and the castor oil and the palm oil and the coconut oil, and all of those will be mostly all saponified. There's an excess of 5% there, so, and then the other 10% is the shea butter. Oh good, it's all melted now. I added it in the microwave for a minute to melt it, and it was melted almost all the way. Not quite all the way. You don't want to melt it all the way. Let it finish melting outside of the microwave, because you don't want to get the oil too hot, the butter too hot. Okay, so I'm going to just zip this again, and then here, just okay. I ran out of battery power, so I didn't show you where I added the shea butter, and I stirred that in, and then I put this in the oven. Okay. And put the lid on it, and then put it in the oven. The shea butter kind of like sits on top at first, and then you have to like whiz it back in there with the stick blender. And you put the cover on, put it back in the oven, and they say you're supposed to turn the temperature down, but I didn't really turn it down very much. Like, I just turned it down to just below 200. Like, keep it as close to 200 as possible, because, well, that's quite thick. Okay, yeah, so I've been stirring it up a little bit, and it's really quite thick. And what we're actually looking for is a little gel ring. Okay, so it's been 15 minutes, and I took it out of the oven, and you can't see very well on this camera, but it is starting to gel. It's starting to gel really on the top, and you see how it's coming away from the sides there? Yeah, so that, although that's weird, because it looks like it's gelling on top, but there's no gelling underneath. So I'm going to try and stir it. Oh, it's stirring really well. Wow, it's stirring well on the sides, but not in the middle. So I'm not quite sure why that is. Probably just hasn't all gelled yet, that's all. So, hi. Okay, this is 20 minutes later, and as you can see, it's a lot easier to stir now. Hi, Emma. There's Emma. She's eating her supper. Okay, it's a lot easier to stir now, and I think it's at full gel stage now. So now we're going to wait. It looks kind of like applesauce, see? So now we're going to kind of let it go into the next stage. It's supposed to end up looking like mashed potatoes in the end. We're looking for mashed potatoes. So 20 more minutes. Okay, so it's been over 2 hours. And I guess I have a problem detecting mashed potatoes, but I suppose that could be mashed potatoes. It still looks a little shiny in places, so I'm just gonna take a little piece out, and I'm gonna let that cool for a little bit and see.